Views expressed in this podcast are solely those of the participants. The hosts make no claim to be literary experts, and their opinions are exactly that, opinions. All creative works discussed or reviewed are the intellectual property of the creators of said stories and is being used under the fair use doctrine.
Swords and Soulmates, a podcast where we read, watch, and discuss romantasy stories. I'm one of your hosts, Mari, and with me I have Kelly.
Hey everyone, it's Kelly. And we also have Ashley.
Hi guys, it's Ashley. We also have Jonathan.
All back of the bus and stuff. It's me, JP. What's good?
Today we're going to be discussing The Spellshop by Sarah Beth Durst. But first, as always, we have some news. I have a few things, but if you guys have anything, always welcome to jump in. The first thing is kind of local-ish to us, but I was pretty excited about it. Apparently, Orlando, Florida, is about to get its first romance-only bookshop. It's going to be called The New Romantics, and they're still doing like a crowdsourcing campaign to get the funds for their storefront, but the website is up and you can see some of the stuff on there. I've only ever been to one romance-only bookshop, and it was Meet Cute in San Diego, and I loved it. It was really a cute little fun browsing experience, and I ended up buying books I'd never heard of and finding some really good things that I hadn't really been into and didn't know existed. Yeah, I'm excited about that.
It's interesting to see how like the romance / fantasy book world has inspired, right? Like, entrepreneurs and stuff like that is far more common. Like on my book talk feed is to see these romance bookshops or, fantasy bookshops.
But what are the New Romantics go funding?
It looks like they're funding to actually open a physical store because they don't have an actual brick and mortar store.
If I'm being genuine here, I don't know how I feel about a crowdsourced.
But why?
I don't know.
But why?
You know why? You know what I compare it to? At least here in where we live, it's a smaller town, and what we get a lot is you get a lot of like cottage food type industries. Like people will try out catering and stuff for a restaurant idea and see how well it does before they commit to making it a restaurant. I feels like this is kind of the equivalent of that. You're trying out the idea, you're seeing what kind of interest there is, what kind of support you're going to have before you commit to the brick and mortar, mortgage or rent or whatever.
I mean, part of like the business hat of me wants to just be like, hey, you're in business, you're not in charity.
Sounds like the old man in you.
Yeah, it does.
That's saying like you have to struggle, like we've all struggled to open up a business.
I mean, there are new pathways in business. This is one of them.
Yeah, no, it's a huge thing.
I don't know how I feel about the idea of crowdsourcing. I'm not closed off to it. I don't want to say like, hey, I'm totally closed off to it, but I'm not sure where I stand. So to the New Romantics, if we cross paths, convince me. I'll keep a $5 in my pocket for you just in case.
I think it's really hard to get a business loan. So what else are they going to do? I think that's why you see like Kickstarters type things as a viable method for new authors and indie authors who are trying to get books published or who are trying to get audiobooks done of their books. How else are you going to get all this money up front to get this thing done when banks will only lend to you if you don't need the money, if you already have the successful business?
You have to have a pretty substantial bit of collateral in order to take out a business loan nowadays, in addition to also having to provide, a very good business plan, and then the bank has to agree with your business plan and that you can actually make it work.
Right.
And no bank is going to be like, what bank is going to, maybe a bank would be like, oh, an indie bookstore? Yeah, maybe we'll go for that. But if you went to a bank and said, we want to open an indie bookstore that only does romance books, there's no way you're going to sell that. There's no way. You would have to have enough collateral that you could just cash out your collateral and not have to worry about paying back a loan.
Yeah. Yeah. When I heard about it, I was like, oh, that's cool. There's going to be a romance, bookstore in Orlando. And that would be fun for when we're down in Orlando. We could go and see what they have, browse. And it's great for the people who live closer there, who then have a little, local bookshop that's romance based, because it's very inclusive, and romance as a genre has become a more all-inclusive place that it's almost like a little sense of mini community. So I hope they succeed. I hope they do. I hope it works for them. I was excited about it.
Same. I do hope they succeed. I'm not, just because it's not an avenue that I would pursue in order to fund what I want, or, doesn't mean that's the wrong one. I hope it's successful, and guaranteed that when it opens, and the likelihood that we cross their threshold is extremely high. So
yeah, exactly. Same. All right. So if anyone is interested in looking into the bookshop more, it's called The New Romantics, and their website is thenewromanticsbooks.com. The other thing I saw that I was pretty excited about is Fabled Fantasy, which is the romantasy event that we're going to in October in Orlando, announced that for next year's event in 2025, Allie Hazelwood is going to be one of the people who will be at the Orlando event.
That is very exciting.
Yes.
Right?
I cannot wait to find out who Allie Hazelwood is.
So from the romantasy avenue, I'd say the only book she's written that's romantasy is Bride, which came out this year. And it's a werewolf vampire romance. I like her contemporary romance stuff.
Agreed.
It's not perfect, but there's some of them have been really good. And I enjoyed Bride. I mean, it was a departure for her.
Bride's been a huge hit this year on the socials.
It has been. The other thing I have is Ruby Dixon, who's the author. Well, she's written a bunch of books, but I think she's best known for writing the Ice Planet Barbarians series.
Such an icon.
Yes, iconic, very beloved series. Has announced the first official merchandise from the series, and it's scented candles.
Stop it. I love that.
I'm looking at this website, Ashley.
Yeah, Briarwick candles. And they have 2 scents. One is Not-Hoth, and the other's Resonance. I'm assuming Kelly and Jonathan have not read any of the Ice Planet Barbarian books.
I have not read
Ash?
Ice
What?
Planet Barbarian.
I've only read 10. There's 80 of them.
Read 10.
So there are 21 Ice Planet Barbarian books. I've read 10 of them.
You're such a superstar,
you're overachiever there, for sure. Yeah.
But they're very quick reads. They're fun.
She's told me about them extensively as she's read them.
You love them
it's
as
like
much
you,
as she does.
you read them by proxy.
No.
No.
Okay, so
I'm tired. I got tired of hearing about giant blue dicks.
Stop it.
Is that what that whole book's about? Dicks? Giant blue dicks?
no.
Are they,
covering
hold on,
it.
are they just, Kelly, are they
So
large dicks, or are they
Okay, so the
blue dicks
premise
that
is
are part of a giant?
It's sci-fi romance. So it's these human women get kidnapped by these aliens. All this happens in the first book. They get kidnapped by these aliens to be sold as slaves. These are really bad aliens. And they start to fight back. The women start to fight back, and something happens, and the ship crashes, and the aliens decide to just bail. And so they bail the cargo, they bail the ship on the first planet they're driving by, which is this ice planet. And so the main chickie in the first book is like, it's an ice planet, and it's a Star Wars reference. It's Not-Hoth. So it's a Star Wars reference.
Okay.
And so she's trying to go out and see if there's anything, what's happening on this planet. And the rest of the women that were kidnapped stay back, because this first book is about this first woman. And she ends up coming across the aliens who live on this planet, who are also not native to the planet. And they are the giant blue horned aliens. So they're like
horny?
7 foot tall. they are all blue and they have horns and they are strong and blah, blah, blah. And in order to live on this planet, you have to have this parasitic relationship with a thing called the Kui.
Uh-huh.
And
It
the
just gets
Kui,
better and better.
This is very
this thing
interesting.
is so, it
Are
is
they
so
furry?
good for like
Mario,
escaping
are they
the world.
fuzzy? Are they furry?
Oh no, the Kui
No.
is gross.
No,
the
I
Kui
meant
is
the
a parasite.
barbarians.
No,
Are
they
the
look,
barbarians-
they look hairless. These people look hairless.
they have a little bit of fur,
They're furry.
They're
a
good.
little bit.
Can you like? I don't know about all
Sorry.
that. Let me just say that when Ashley comes to bed, if she doesn't get both her feet under the blanket and back up to body temperature rapidly, I'm fucking mad. So I can't imagine having an ice stick, especially a blue one.
No,
Oh,
but
I'm
they're
so
warm.
excited.
They're warm. That's the thing. The Kui helps you survive on this ice planet. So it
Thank God
like
for the
bumps up your
Kui.
metabolism. So then you're warm and you're fine. It's ice all around, but you're walking around, of course, showing off your pecs and things as a giant blue
Your pecs and pecker, the whole
alien.
package. Just giving the
And
whole.
so the Kui just wants to, advance the genetic thing. So if there's someone who will be genetically compatible with you for good offspring, your Kui will resonate with that person. And it's like the whole mating thing that we've seen
Is
in
it?
some
It's
of
a
the books
comedy.
we've read.
It must be a comedy because Ashley's lost her mind. She's tearing down the set here. Can you secure your mic, Ashley?
I don't know how I got on
you got to secure this up here. You got to turn this one up here. Turn that knob. Or
When your Kui resonates with someone else's Kui, then your chest starts to purr because your Kui is purring.
This is gonna be Kelly. You're gonna have a shit time editing this audio.
So if you want some escapism from this world, I highly recommend Ice Planet Barbarians.
And you can get a candle.
There's two of the Ice Planet Barbarian candles. The Not-Hoth, it says, let the enticing blend of driving snows, ice, and blue musk whisk you away to the icy planet of Not-Hoth.
What the hell is
And
Blue
then-
Musk?
Yeah, the other one,
Papa
the
Smurf
second
style,
scent they
come
have
on.
is called Resonance, and it says experience the comforting embrace of resonance with scents that blend cozy blankets, winter spice, and Kui vibrations.
It sounds like an SNL commercial. Resonance by
They have like small size to big size. It's like $6.50. It's the smaller sizes up to $22 for like the really big size. The only other thing I had, it's not really news, but I'm going to be at DragonCon, which is in Atlanta, the weekend of August 29th through September 2nd. They do have like a writer's track where they have some writers come and they do different panels and things. It's a 24/7 convention of all things geek and fandom and cosplay, etc. But if any of our listeners are going to be there and want to do some kind of a meetup or anything, reach out. Maybe we can do a little meetup. So just wanted to put it out there that I will be at DragonCon this year. Like
You're
I am
excited?
most years.
The countdown is like it's fierce. So I think right now we're at 41 days, 21 hours, 15 minutes, and 26, 25, 24.
You're on the
23,
website?
20, yes.
The actual countdown, yeah. That's assuming it starts on Thursday. Some people start on Tuesday or Wednesday, but I drive down Thursday. So for me, it starts Thursday. Any other new stuff?
I don't have any additional new stuff.
All right, let's get into the book. So the book is, like I said earlier, it's The Spellshop by Sarah Beth Durst. We basically chose this book because it was kind of everywhere. I knew it was on my TBR because I'd heard buzz building up to it. And I think Kelly saw it in several places. And Kelly's the one who suggested it for us to read. And I'd heard it was going to be like cozy, which the cover kind of looks that way. So that's it was basically just people talking about it. It's why we chose it. It's very recently published. It was just published on the 9th of July of this year. Let me read the synopsis as usual, and then we can talk about it. Keela has always had trouble dealing with people. Thankfully, as a librarian at the Great Library of Elysium, she and her assistant Kaz, a magically sentient spider plant, have spent the last decade sequestered among the Empire's most precious spellbooks, preserving their magic for the city's elite. When a revolution begins and the library goes up in flames, she and Kaz flee with all the spellbooks they can carry and head to a remote island Keela never thought she'd see again, her childhood home. Taking refuge there, Keela discovers, much to her dismay, a nosy and very handsome neighbor who can't take a hint and keeps showing up day after day to make sure she's fed and to help fix up her new home. In need of income, Keela identifies something that even the bakery in town doesn't have: jam. With the help of an old recipe book her parents left her and a bit of illegal magic, her cottage garden is soon covered in ripe berries. But magic can do more than make life a little sweeter, so Keela risks the consequences of using unsanctioned spells and opens the island's first ever and much needed secret spell shop.
Dun dun dun.
So what'd we think?
I thought it was delightfully mid. I'm not mad at this book.
Yeah, non-spoilery right now. Non-spoilery.
Yeah. I got you. I'm picking up what you're putting down. I thought it was a very polite YA all day kind of book. Do I give it a rating here?
Yeah.
I'm giving it 4 cauldrons. 4 swords?
Stars.
4 stars.
Okay.
I want to know where Kelly's at.
Oh, no.
You're not going to say anything, Kelly?
No, we did me and Jonathan first last time. We should do Mari and Ashley first this time.
He's trying to buy some time. Don't stall, Kelly.
Ash, do you want to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
I liked the book a lot. It was an easy read. Cozy was definitely accurate. It delivered as promised as a cozy fantasy romantasy book. Solid 4 jam jars for me.
Okay. So Kelly, do you want to go or do you want me to go?
Go ahead, Mari.
Okay, so for me, overall, it was a 5 for me. It was exactly as advertised. It was
You're going to
cozy...
read it again?
Yes.
Yes.
I've bought the physical book. So yeah.
Committed.
Yeah. So I like the cozy vibes. It to me was like Legends and Lattes meets Animal Crossing, which helped so much of us through the pandemic, meets Ghibli, like Studio Ghibli stuff, and just like all the good vibes of all of that. I enjoyed it. I liked the characters, even when they were in some ways doing things that weren't likable. I mean, I kind of was sold. The reason it was on my TBR to begin with, tell me there's a sentient spider plant character person. I'm in. Sold. Yeah, I want to know.
We love a good side character.
Yeah. So this book made me, Mari of the Black Thumb, decide to buy a spider plant.
Did you buy a spider plant?
Are you going to name him Kaz?
Of course it's going to be named Kaz.
I don't even know what a spider plant is.
I hope I don't kill him. The author, she posted something on Facebook, and I responded back to her that she made me buy a spider plant, that I hope that she's not responsible for the outcome of the poor life of this plant. And she said that she's got one too, and she's got eyes on her. She put eyes on hers. I'm like, I'm going to go buy some googly eyes.
That's amazing.
Oh my goodness.
Such inspiration.
So is she now the this spider plant is the equivalent of a clownfish?
How so?
Like Finding Nemo, when all those clownfish died on behalf of that Pixar film, now all these spider plants are gonna die across the world because people are just like, I need a spider plant, thanks to this book.
I mean, I don't know. They're supposed to be easy to keep alive, so we'll see.
I mean, plant parenting has been very big the last 4 to 5 years, especially since the pandemic.
Tamagotchi?
Mm-hmm.
No, like actual plants.
Oh, I think
plants are the new pets. Pets are the new kids. Kids are out.
Yeah.
So Kelly, what did you think of it?
I enjoyed the book. I thought it was a 4. I enjoyed the cozy fantasy setting. I enjoyed the characters. I enjoyed the talking spider plant. It was a very amusing sidekick. It reminded me a lot of the golden days of Disney animation side characters. You know, back in the heyday of Disney animation when the side characters in the animated movies were hilarious and more of a star than the main characters.
Yeah. Like the anxiety ball that was Kaz. Oh, love him.
But
Love
also
him.
like uber intelligent and thoughtful.
Yes.
And sort of just a really good character in his own right.
Yeah.
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 Team
Yeah.
Kaz.
Yep.
So I enjoyed it. I thought it was definitely a decent book and worth reading. And it was a nice change of pace from some books we've been reading up until now.
Mm-hmm.
And Mari's right. It reminded me a lot of that cozy fantasy of like Legends and Latte.
Absolutely. All right, Kelly, will you do our little spiel so we can get into some spoilers?
Sure. So from this point forward, we will be discussing spoilers. So listeners, if you do not want to hear any spoilers, this is your chance to pause the podcast and come back after you've read the book. Or if you don't care about spoilers, keep on listening.
Yeah. So I read a quote. I don't remember if it was part of some interview or something she did, but the author said that she described the book as the Spellshop is like the Lord of the Rings if no one ever left the Shire.
Aw.
Right?
Very
My only
interesting.
downside of this book is that I did not have adequate supply of raspberry jam while reading it.
One of the things about this book that did bother me a little bit was there was a lot of painting a rosy picture of life outside the big city. It was really painting a lot of the Hallmark movie type stuff where the big city girl who is a workaholic goes to the country, finds love and peace with a farmer type thing. It was very much a Hallmark
I was just
fantasy
thinking
movie.
it's a fantasy Hallmark movie.
Right,
Yeah,
right. And it was,
absolutely.
everything's better in the country. Cheese in the city, like there was a quote, cheese in the city was soft and bland, but here in the country, it demands to be devoured because it's so good. Like everything was like that. The townspeople take care of their own, not like those big city folk. The fruits and vegetables out here are so much better than in the city. So it was definitely a painting the whole life is better out here in the country type mentality, a throwback almost to like, man, life was so great back in Mayberry.
Well, but there was also, it did touch on some of the issues that were happening in the country or in the area removed from the capital, but it did kind of blame the city for it. Like
Right.
basically because the city hadn't sent out sorcerers out to the far islands or whatever, they had all these storms that destroyed everything, and they had like all these people that were gone. There wasn't a general store anymore. And the things that she remembered weren't quite there. Things were more run down. The cats, the winged cats, which that was a cool visual, but the winged cats, were even they were leaner. Like it was economic depression in rural areas. But the whole blame of that was put on, it was because sorcerers weren't being sent out.
Right.
So I think what resonated with me in that area is, things kind of went sideways based on the abuse of magic, and the difference maker in this story was that she was democratizing magic. Magic wasn't just for this elite crowd. You didn't have to be born special. You didn't have to have there was no banging, so you didn't have to bang the magic on. It was just anybody could do this with a little bit of practice.
Anyone with interest in it could do it.
Yeah. And when
I was going to say, I think what was such an important point for me was that it wasn't even just like the I can't say that word anymore. Sorry, it's been a day, guys.
Magic for all.
The magic for all. It was more about the books, right? And all of us as book lovers will be the first to say that.
Speak for yourself.
Story lovers, then.
For all of us who love to read or listen to books, we feel as though that knowledge should be shareable, right?
Mhm.
And so I think for Keela, am I saying her name right? Because you listened, I didn't.
Yeah,
listen to
yeah,
Keela.
yeah. Everybody's
So for
spot on.
Keela, yeah, magic was banned from someone who was not, labeled or credited as a sorcerer, but books are for everybody. Knowledge is for everyone. And so if that meant that magic was available to her because of the books and it was something that she could do that was good and right, then that outweighed, the potential crime of it all. And that really resonated for me. It was just about, I think I said to Jonathan, was this story for me, yeah, it was a cozy fantasy, but it was also about someone trying to do their very best and to do what they felt was right and it working out. And that was just a nice.
It never worked out.
Yeah.
It did work
Every
out.
time she tried to do something nice, karma shit on her right in her face.
But she kept doing the right thing.
Yeah, I agree. No matter what happened, she continued to do the next right thing. But it was like I thought the story should have ended on chapter 30, but it kept going on and it just was repetitive for me, and that's why I didn't get to 5.
What happened at chapter 30? Where should it have ended for you?
So it should have ended after they converted, 16th in line lady. And like, I thought like, okay, so that was the climax of the story. This is great. What's going to happen for the rest of this book? The last, like 5 or 6 chapters. And it just became repetitive. Now you've got to fight you got to hide someone else. And then you have to do, now they're coming. What do you mean? They're coming back kind of thing? Like it was just this whole.
It just drug on a little.
It drug
for
on.
you.
Yeah.
Okay.
It did. But it was. And that's when so when those things were happening, I was like, all right, stop doing it. Stop doing the right thing.
Do the wrong thing.
Do the wrong thing. You didn't learn the first time. That's all I thought. I was like, you didn't fucking learn. Like you were just like, last time I saved somebody was saved from a storm. It made everybody pretty shitty.
You know what
And
it felt like? It felt like a TV series.
That's interesting.
Although, like, maybe the moral is keep doing the right thing and eventually it'll turn out well.
Eventually. You just got to bang your head up against the wall a few times.
That's called insanity,
like if everything's
right?
not okay in the end, that means it's not really the end.
Well, I think there were a lot of themes throughout the book that were repetitive, one of them being the idea that keeping knowledge hoarded was the key to powerful people maintaining their position.
Yeah.
I mean, that was definitely a theme to it. That's why magic was banned. That's why these books were restricted, why magic wasn't allowed to be practiced by the commoners anymore, only the emperor's sorcerer.
Well, and why it was lost, right? Because there were some of the older islanders that remembered a time when, small magic was done, basically. And then it got regulated, right? Protected.
Right, exactly. So it was a form of control, and that was what, part of the whole uprising was against. The emperor was, because the people wanted the knowledge back, and unfortunately they burned the library by accident. So that was kind of a throwback to, the Library of Alexandria being burned and its knowledge being lost.
What did we think of the fantasy? What are we rating the fantasy?
Oh, all the fantasy. Jonathan's making a face.
Yeah,
why are you surprised at the question? That's what
I'm not surprised at the question.
You have to go first because you went first last time. As we all anxiously await.
I don't know.
Rate the fantasy.
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 I thought there was maybe a little too much fantasy. There's a lot of different. I had trouble keeping up with who looked like what. So
it's because it's supposed to be a TV series. I'm telling you.
That tracks. Like, I was just not a super huge fan of like trying to keep track of. Did the is horse lady? Are they someone who looks different? I don't know. And then it was like buck dude, and then like water ponies, and then like the mermaids, and it was just like there was a whole bunch of stuff going on.
So it was a lot of fantasy. What
There's
are you gonna rate?
There was so much that it took away. It wasn't smash magic, but it was like a truckload of like weirdness. So I'm gonna go with 3. I was overstimulated.
You were overstimulated. You're so cute. I'm struggling between a 4 and a 5 because I think it was very high volume fantasy, but like Jonathan said, it was a little overwhelming. There were things that I thought were better explained than others. Like, I don't know what Lauren looks like other than his muscles, but I know what the mermaids looked like. So I think it's a 4. I think the fantasy was a 4.
For me, the fantasy was a 5, because I thought it was a pretty good balance of bringing in a lot of different things, a lot of different types of magic and creatures. Like, you had the mermaids, you had the mer horses, you had a unicorn, because why not? You had forest spirits. I think the thing that I probably liked the most, which I don't think it's original, because I think I've seen it or read it somewhere else, but I couldn't think of where, is that the spells were written in the first language, which is like this creation language. So it is a little bit analogous to the whole Latin thing that we were talking about earlier. It's you have to know how to speak or how to, say things correctly in the first language in order to do the spell. So there's a little bit of like, you have to study it. You can't just randomly read it and have it work. But the fact that you had to have like spell components, you had to have things, you had to have sometimes the weather had to be right, or, the right amount of people doing it or whatever. But you also had this added element of it being this like first language, which gives it a little bit of, I think, richness in history, because then it makes me think of like, well, first language means what? Like first peoples, like what was the history of this world? Why don't people speak the first language anymore? Yeah. Anyways, I gave it a 5 for fantasy.
Okay. Well, I gave it a 3.5, and I was kind of thinking it was a 4, but the more I thought about it, the more I realized that I didn't care for some of the things that were thrown in there, because it felt somewhat haphazardly like they were thrown in there, almost a little bit like in books we've read before, where it was like, let's just keep throwing more and more fantasy elements into here without really explaining why they're here, or sometimes it doesn't even make sense that they're here. So we had forest spirits that felt almost like Princess Mononoke, like the Japanese Shinto idea of spirits and stuff. And then we also have mermaids, and then we have mer horses, and then we have unicorns, and then also we're going to throw in sentient plants, and we're going to throw in high magic and a high language. And so it's just a lot of stuff, I think, just all thrown in there like that. And we didn't get really into too much depth of any of it. And so to me, it just kind of detracted it a little bit. I still think there was good fantasy elements, just not strong enough for me, in my opinion, for it to be a 4.
Okay, romance.
What was the romance?
What's your rating?
I'm going to give it a 2, but not because of the main characters, because of the potential either bisexual or lesbian encounter that I wasn't sure if it took place, but I think it did, between Baker and Inquisitor.
Yeah, they were a cute little couple.
I think there was 100% something going on between the two of them. I don't think there was any question about that.
It happens. It was like so
Jonathan's
short-lived.
attention span.
It was like,
question.
It was just like, come back to me. Okay.
What did you say your rating was?
A 2 for
romance.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
Not
I
for
thought
the
it
main
was a 3.5
characters,
for romance. There were a lot of feelings, but
there was jealousy.
But there was a lot of feelings. There was a strong bond between Keela and Kaz.
Mm-hmm.
And just like, I love stories that are just like immediate, friendship bonds, like BFFs forever. And Keela was just like, Kaz showed up one day and said, I'm your assistant. And that was that. And I thought to myself, that's how all friendships should be, right? Like, that's like kindergarten. You know what I mean? Like, that's the most pure friendship that exists. And that was a very strong bond. And there was a lot of like internal monologue about his feelings or, what to do that was best for him. And he was always a thought for her. And it was clear that he, cared about her as well for what is a sentient plant. And I think, the community that was the island really showed up very quickly in a similar fashion. Well, of course you're one of us. Of course we're going to protect you.
It's very found family.
And there was an instant, recognition of something between Keela and Lauren. She was just a little too dense at first to realize what was happening. But I think that was
dense?
because
I think she was trying to protect herself.
She wasn't paying attention.
She wasn't very good at peopling.
She was not good at people.
Yeah. They don't let you out of there.
She was a little dense. That's not even ADHD that was happening to her. It was just lack of attention to, relationship awareness, people around you. But I thought it was a 3.5. Like, it was there. It was light. It was cozy. It was, will you marry me? But you don't have to say yes, and we can live in 2 houses. Like, right. What are you talking about? It was 3.5 for me.
All right, Kelly?
No, go ahead.
No, Mari.
Okay.
Stick to how we've been doing it so far.
Okay.
Jeez.
Well, for me, the romance was a 5. It was the kind of romance that I like. It was a slow build-up. It was based off of interactions and feelings rather than just, ooh, hot person, must bang them. It was, a socially awkward person who kind of was like, why is he coming over and helping me? Why is he bothering me? What is going on here? When he's just like, he genuine. Likes her.
Yeah, he was just genuine the whole time.
Yeah. I liked that. And I liked, on the romance, how it built. It was very, like, service-based, like what they did for each other. On the friendship stuff, I loved the Kaz interaction. Like, I liked how she... Like, Kaz was unquestionably her friend and unquestionably a person. Had personhood, anyways. Like, when they were picking I highlighted this, when they were picking the weeds, or the things that she called weeds, and he gave her the whole weed speech, and she forever, the rest of the book, like, changed how she thought and talked about weeds. Like, she mentioned, like, they were going to weed the garden, and I'm going to read it. So Kaz says, "There's no such thing as a weed," Kaz said. "That's a cruel term made up by people who label some plants as unwanted and some as valuable, as if the worth of a living thing is measured by how useful it is to another living thing, as if a plant can't have its own intrinsic worth."
Goodness.
I mean, Kaz, round of applause.
Well, I mean, Sarah Beth, round of applause.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
She went deep for some things, and it was very much the things that, an ordinary person wouldn't necessarily give so much thought to. Right. And that was such a big, like an aha moment. Like, this plant is sentient and he's funny and they're pals and they're going on these adventures and talking through, like, big life things together. But then to, like, have this open awareness of living things, right, as plants and how we label things.
Yeah.
Damn. I was not emotionally prepared for the in-depth that she hit sometimes this week.
I agree. And like the way that Keela talked about Lauren, you said Lauren is how it's pronounced, right? The way she talked about Lauren, I thought it just was very sweet in a person who's bad at peopling kind of way. Like, okay, so I highlighted 2 things. When she first met him, she was like, he wasn't what she'd call handsome, but he didn't look like a murderer either. Not that she knew what that would look like. He was tall, which wasn't an argument for or against murder. Like, he shows up at her house. He's tall.
Rationalization
Maybe he's not a
is
murderer. I don't know. But then when she starts to get to know him,
that's girl math.
yeah. This is another little bit that I highlighted. He smiled, and the expression transformed him from ordinary into stunningly handsome. It was like the sun coming out from behind the clouds over a stormy sea. She found herself smiling back without meaning to, and as soon as she realized she was doing it, she frowned.
Beth, Jonathan, are you sure you meant to?
Yes.
Okay. I'm trying to figure out if Lauren's a fuzzy. Like, does he have scales? Like, how unique, or is he straight up like?
He's not fuzzy.
Human?
He's not fuzzy.
I don't know.
How do you know?
Because he hangs out in the water. You don't hang out in the water and be fuzzy.
He could be like an
have
otter.
Have you seen a seal? Yeah, or an otter? Or a walrus?
I just
you
made a
think
point
he's
and
the-
Jonathan doesn't like
You
it.
think he's the human equivalent of an otter. You think he's
A
a water
platypus?
puppy.
He's certainly a hand holder.
That's gross.
Jonathan's freaked out now. He doesn't like the image that I imprinted.
Terrible.
Good job, Ashley.
My job's done, guys. It was nice chatting.
So yeah, that's for me, Romance 5, because of all those things. Kelly?
I gave the romance a 4 because similar to what Mari said, this was more of the type of romance things that I like to read. Yeah, I thought it was a much more realistic romance, even if it was kind of Hallmark movie type of romance, especially a romance between two adult people who are very set in their ways. Mm-hmm. And I like that Lauren's way of showing his affection and showing his love was constantly to be doing things for her. You know, he was very much a type of person of showing that
Acts of
his
service.
affection by,
Yeah.
acts of service, building her shelves, fixing this, fixing that, bringing her food, bringing her tomatoes, all those kind of things.
Yeah.
And, the author did a lot of nice points in her book about, real romance. Several times, like one of the quotes was, she was told, by her dad, what was better was companionship. Her dad wanted her to find someone who would be there for her, who'd laugh with her through the years, not a fling.
Yeah.
Find someone who will be there for you, her father had once told her. Someone who will laugh with you through the years, someone who makes you happy day to day. And so that's kind of, in my opinion, what real romance is the, like we talked about in the Wolf Gone Wild, is it's easy to be romantic in the moment and in the passion. It's the real romance is being there day to day, supporting someone, lifting them up, through thick and thin and all that kind of stuff. That's real romance. It's easy to do grand romantic gestures in the heat of lust. It's another thing to be there day to day and support that person every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm here for the smut.
So that's good too.
Romance and spice are different things.
Right.
Yeah,
Sir.
Lee, get me hot.
Sir.
Before we move on to spice, which apparently Jonathan wants to move on to.
And I think you really got the first sense for like how when she first realized, I think, how much she actually loved Laren or had fallen in love with him was when he rescued the girl from the ocean. And she said, and I highlighted this, like that she was worried that, quote, he has someone new to take care of now. And that made her jealous.
Yeah.
So that was like, I think when she first realized that she had real feelings.
Because she's not good at peopling. She's
Right.
not good at like her own feelings and realizing them.
Right, because she kept telling herself that she can't like him and that he can't like her because she's unlikable. But at that one moment, that was when it changed.
Yeah. That and like, dude, he built her bookshelves and jam shelves.
I highlighted that in the book. And it
Yes.
was like, maybe this is something that could last. Like, how often do you find someone that's going to build you bookshelves?
Yeah.
Yeah, girl.
All right. Do we want to move on to the spice? Because I know
Yes.
Jonathan
Yes,
is chomping
Jonathan
at the bit.
very much wants to talk about the spice.
There's no spice to talk about. I waited. You know how long I waited and listened and waited and listened. The rule about
420 pages.
there was
worth.
no cock. Zero cock. The
Nope.
closest we got to cock was a feral
the last
chicken.
one was too much cock too soon, and now it's not enough.
I was not
He's
mad.
Goldilocks over here.
Goodness.
We need just the right amount of
Just
cock.
the right amount of
Oh,
That's
okay. So
right.
next we have to read then Ice Planet Barbarians. That's all I'm saying.
Yes, because
Is that
they have,
is that the one with the blue cock?
right. They're
Blue.
blue, big, and they were they ridged or something?
You would
There
have
was
to read to
something
find
about
out.
them, Maury.
Read to find out.
I don't know.
I don't remember. You told me something about them. It's like two, or they had something. There was something weird with
If
them.
you want to
You
know,
had
read
a
to find out.
double-headed. Listen. This is how little spice there was in this book. Is that we have to import blue space cock, to talk about to
Blue
bring
barbarian
spice.
cock.
Blue barbarian cock. There is no way that Mari could possibly have allocated 5 dongers for this one, for this category, because there wasn't even one donger throughout the whole book.
Okay, so you're giving you what, a 1 or a 0 or what?
Listen. I believe in being kind to our authors.
equitable cocks.
Equitable cocks. Although there were no written cocks in this story, I like to think of all my cocks as imaginary. And so I'll still give them I'm going to give them, we'll go middle of the road. She can have 3.
3.
3.
You're just being
Okay.
super
So-
generous.
I get,
Who's next? Kelly.
I'm a giver. I want to be generous with my cock.
I don't understand how you gave that a 3 spice and a 2 romance, Jonathan.
It's cock math.
Yes.
Make it make sense.
Boy, man.
Explícame, Jonathan. Explícame.
I've imagined. I had to imagine.
imagined the
They were
cock?
imaginary cock.
Sorry. Kelly,
Ooh.
please edit out my cackling.
Oh no, no.
I can't.
What is the same way you imagine girth? It's cock. I imagined it. It was there. Figment.
All right, who's next on Spice?
It's me. It's me. I'm sorry. I can't breathe. I personally did not envision penises in this book because even the mer horses took care of themselves. So the spice was like a 1 for me. Just because I don't want to give it a 0. This was not a spicy book. Don't read
Right.
this book if you're looking for spice. There was adventure. There was adequate romance. There was an abundance of friendship and community. There was not spice.
BYOC.
Yeah.
Bring your own cock.
Yeah. that's what I'm saying.
Well, I don't know about you, Jonathan, but I bring mine everywhere we go. So
Oh my god.
The BYOC lifestyle.
Oh my god.
if I didn't bring mine everywhere I went, there would be a big
There
problem.
we would be concerned. Big concerned.
Pocket cocks. That's what I say.
I gave it a 1. I said there's not really any spice.
Yeah.
The closest thing to it that I could think of was the whole like for the first few times she went over to his house, she kept getting her clothes wet and had to like change and put on his big shirts, and she liked wearing his clothes. That was like the closest thing to like a little teeny semblance of a thought of a potential idea of spice. Yeah, not really any spice, which is fine. To me, whether or not a book has spice is independent of whether or not the book is good. I've read some really spicy books that are good and some really spicy books that are bad. So yeah, this definitely most minimal of spice. So a 1. Kelly?
I also gave it a 1. There was really no spice. There was some kissing and a little bit of this and that, but it was very PG. I don't even think it was PG as far as the spice goes. It was probably more like
It was
G
pretty
almost.
Disney. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
pretty G.
Although I did think all the time she kept getting, her clothes wet and had the embarrassing moment that seemed very like an 80s rom-com anime type thing that
Like
kept happening.
suggestive.
Right.
Suggestive.
So yeah, I think a 1. There really was no real spice, but like you said, Maury, that's the amount of spice is independent from whether or not it was good.
Right. It's not indicative of it. So what do we think of the cover?
I liked it. I was like, this cover's spot on. It's like,
Yeah.
as I was listening to the story, I was like, and then looked at the car. I was like, yeah, that's pretty much what I envisioned. A little shack at the top of these like crusty old stairs. I liked it. I thought it was very well done. I got a 5.
I would agree. It was a 5. It was a very pretty book cover, and I think the edges are sprayed, aren't they, Mari, or no?
Yeah, they're like a lavender purpley color.
I'm a slut for sprayed edges, so I don't own the book. I would buy it just because it's so pretty, and I probably would have picked it up in the store had I seen it. But for now, I have the ebook. So I would definitely say it's like the cover's a 5 for me.
Yeah, I agree. Also, I forgot to say, the artist for the cover is Lulu Shen, Chen, and the designer is Esther Kim. Esther Kim. Sorry, I can't say that name. For me, I put a 5 as well. Like, it's a little, cottage in the woods with the sunlight coming through the trees. It's got the little winged cat on the stairs. It's, the only thing that might have made it better would have been like some raspberry plants somewhere and or maybe Kaz somewhere in there. But then again, I think about it, I'm like, it feels like this is when they first got onto the island and were like looking up at the little, cabin or whatever for the first time. So yeah, it was a 5 for me. Kelly?
I gave the cover a 4, and I don't think that I think that it was very good. It was a very well-designed cover and very much what I pictured the house to be, the little cottage to be. I don't think it was from when they first got there and saw it, because to me it looked way too good of a house for it to be when they first got there. It wasn't overgrown as bad, as it was first described. The only thing that I needed to see Kaz on the cover, and that would have been a 5.
Yeah, that's true. Like Kaz, a little peep of Kaz like in the corner. That'd be perfect. So do we think it's a kissing book?
No, ma'am.
Wow.
I liked it, but any book that I've got to bring my own cock to is not a kissing book to me. It wasn't their love wasn't pivotal in the story.
The story wasn't contingent on their feelings for each other.
Is that a question?
Yes.
Correct. That's an answer.
Ash, what do you think?
That's the play-by-play. That's the kind of commentary you can expect.
Yeah, no, I guess I'm struggling too. I always forget about this question. I think from the get-go, Lauren was very fascinated and entranced by Keela. But did Keela do everything that she did for him? I think she did it for the community. So if we said, is it a kissing book, because of, the emotions and the commitment and the
found family.
Yeah, the family concept, then yes. But if it's pure romance, partner to partner, then no.
I put yes for me because I felt like she wouldn't have made it if it wasn't for him. She would have starved. She had no idea how to survive on this island.
Yeah, but was it reciprocal? So I guess and if you think about it from to me, is it a kissing book because both of them, right?
Yeah.
If you're talking about one, then for sure Lauren was on board the second she landed.
She was much slower. You're right.
But she's the one that went above and beyond from the magic perspective. Yeah, this one feels trickier. This doesn't feel like a clear answer for me.
I guess, you're talking me out of it.
I know. Good night and good luck, everyone. Sorry.
I think my question would be maybe. That's my answer. Maybe
50.
Kelly, what do you think?
So I went with it is because of Lauren's, that he did so much for her because he was in love with her. And without his help, everything would have fallen apart. The books would have been stolen by the Inquisitor.
Yeah.
So many other things would have happened. She would have starved, so I think that from his perspective, it doesn't have to be that the main character was driven completely by romance and things would have fallen apart from that perspective. I think it's from any perspective if the plot would have fallen apart. You know, she wouldn't have had the books to do the magic if he hadn't done everything for her because he loved her.
Yeah.
Was that love or was that gratitude that developed into a love?
I mean, maybe for her, but I think his presence, his continuance had nothing to do with gratitude. What was he grateful for? Someone just to look after? I mean,
His Merhorse savior.
yeah, well, that didn't happen until the end.
No,
But
it
he-
happened at the beginning.
Oh, because she saved the
It happened
baby
when she was
Merhorse.
younger. Well, and also his parents helped him when
Her parents.
yeah. Her parents helped him when
So I
his
mean,
parents
maybe
were
it was
abusive.
initially some gratitude
Maybe.
that he wanted to give back, but I think he was drawn to her. Like he didn't have to keep coming back.
Yeah, and I mean the other villagers, the baker, chick, and the rest of them were pretty early on to clue in to, and even Kaz was clued in that he was madly in love with her.
That's right, because they did say that he doesn't
Yeah.
act that way with everybody.
Right.
You're right.
Even Kaz was like wanting to smack her upside the head and saying, hey, are you paying attention?
The plant with no eyes.
Right. So it's not like, you know, he developed feelings for her later after she did stuff for him. We was doing stuff for her without asking, without questioning, you know, come make my house look like no one's lived in it and we don't have time for me to explain. Okay.
That's true. Okay, yes, it's a kissing book.
I think there's a stronger argument to the kissing book element if you incorporate Bryn and her motherly support, or Aunt Julie.
Well, the community. I mean,
she was the leader
Yeah.
of the community. Besides the healer, she was the leader of the community, I feel. So
Yeah, she basically
that
was.
could present, because the story that it really doesn't have. She's the pivotal. She's a pillar that's supporting the story, and if you remove Bryn from the story, the whole thing collapses.
Ooh. Which, once again, Bryn wouldn't be there if they hadn't accepted her. If the island hadn't accepted her. It's a whole found family thing again. Which goes back to like familial love. So, yeah. I'm changing mine from maybe to yes.
full circle.
What an emotional roller coaster Mari has been on.
I have. All right. Anything else that we have to say about the book before we move on?
I encourage people to read this book. I thought it was a delightful read.
I agree. I loved it. All right. So thanks for listening to Of Swords and Soulmates. Before we go, make sure to check out the show notes, rate and review us on your podcast app of choice, and follow us on Instagram at Of Swords and Soulmates. We're also on Blue Sky and Threads with the same username, or join our Facebook page of Swords and Soulmates, or on our website of swordsandsoulmates.com, and also on YouTube, same username. If you'd like to offer a suggestion for a future rapid fire question, reach out to us on any of those options. Or if you'd like to offer a suggestion for what we should read, please reach out to us. If you'd like to read along with us as we prep for a new episode, follow us on Goodreads at Of Swords and Soulmates. We hope you'll join us in 2 weeks for our next episode when we review The Audience and the Phantom Knight, which is the Aglician Seas series by Sadie Hewitt. Bye!